Good evening, wrestling fans. We're your hosts, Lewis
and Jaden, and this is
Evolution of Pro Wrestling. Welcome back, fans. This is a special day today. We normally air on Fridays, but today's Thursday. We're into our anniversary of our 1 month that we started this show, and we just want to do a quick recap of the show. The awesome show we saw this Saturday was USA Pro Wrestling. We saw one of the baddest brawls that I've ever seen. Danny Moff and Vordell Walker. Awesome match. The entire card was excellent, but that match to me was epic. These two destroyed each other in a brutal match, and a lot of fans are calling for that rematch in the next USA Pro Wrestling match. And also a quick recap of me and my son's wrestling match on Sunday, which unfortunately I lost, and my son beat me. I underestimated him, but my son knows this is not over by a long shot. Today's topic, fans, greatest wrestlers of all time. Today we're going to have a special guest on our show, one of my good all-time friends for many, many years that we've been watching wrestling since we were 15. We would like to welcome Mr. Brian Montalvo to the mix in our show, and I believe he's going to be coming in right now. Okay. Having a little technical difficulty. Oh, we got the invite. Sorry, fans, a little technical difficulty. And I believe that's him coming in now. Oh, there he is. Mr. Montalvo, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Jaden. Appreciate it.
Good,
How you guys
good.
doing?
As you see our topic we're going to have today, the greatest wrestlers of all time. We're going to have a heavy debate regarding this show on what we think are the greatest wrestlers of all time. And we start off with, I know is probably your favorite, bar none, The Undertaker. So we know The Undertaker is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He had a WrestleMania streak of 21-0 before, unfortunately, he lost to Brock Lesnar, and I think he should have never lost that way, but hey, what can you do? You know what I mean? Why do you think he is the greatest wrestler of all time, besides myself?
Well, for once, his demeanor, his character, his entrance is like no other. And you guys can agree with me on that. This is the only man to this day that comes out with smoke, dark lights, pyro, leather jackets, and this just gives that eerie feeling that when I used to watch wrestling when I was a young kid, and I used to see him come in with his black trench coat, hat, Paul Bear. It was creepy. And to this day, he still keeps that aura with him, and it's just like no other, man. No one can top
The
that.
man
No
had
one can top that.
had a destruction, 2 decades of destruction that just pretty much he just went through the entire
Yeah.
roster. As you saw last show,
Right.
Jaden thought that Roman Reigns was the better wrestler, and that's what led to me and Jaden's match, because Jaden challenged me because I went against him.
Yeah.
Which Roman Reigns is an excellent wrestler. I'm not knocking him for that. Probably one of the greatest of all time.
And that's the debate I wanted to get into. Roman Reigns is a really, really talented wrestler. He was from the Shield, and him leaving the Shield made him a really, really talented wrestler.
But what made him what in your opinion makes him one of the greatest wrestlers of all time?
I'm sorry, Padino, but he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And he claimed that the ring was his yard.
Yeah, but besides the yard, okay, he beat The Undertaker.
He was a He was a WWE champion.
Okay.
He was a really good champion.
He was a WWE champion, Universal champion, probably pretty much a Triple Crown winner, a Grand Slam winner. Okay, but still, I still think to this day, Undertaker is still the better wrestler. Okay.
See, but you guys got to see, you have two different type of eras going on here. you have the era where Undertaker came from. And this guy's he's a lot older, you know. So at this point now, to keep up with someone as young as Roman Reigns, who's in his late 20s, and Taker, who's in his like 50s, close to probably 60s, you have a huge gap between the age range, right? So that plays a huge factor between this battle between these two guys. And then you got this old guy, Undertaker, who says, this is my yard. And then you got the young guy who says, well, no, this is my yard. So this is the battle here that kept them going. And I like that storyline. And I liked how in that match, Taker unfortunately did lose for the second time in his WrestleMania career. But I think that was his way of passing the torch down
No, you're
to
exactly
Roman
right.
Reigns.
And when you talk about
And hold on, Lou, Jaden, great fight, and that was awesome.
it's not over. It's not over. Eventually, that rematch will come, fans. You just ain't gonna know when. It's when you talk about older wrestlers, you know what I mean? The Undertaker is one of them. But to me, my personal favorite of all time, and you would know this, Hulk Hogan. By far the greatest of all time to me, anyway. I don't know about everyone.
This is the guy who pretty much started it all. He started it all.
You know, the man started everything. The man led to the NWO and WCW. He led into careers of The Rock, of Stone Cold. He made Edge become a wrestler. John Cena watched him, Shawn Michaels. And these are wrestlers also that we think are greatest wrestlers of all time, Shawn Michaels and John Cena.
We can get into another good wrestler that shocked people's minds, Stone Cold. Stone Cold did some crazy things that people never thought that he was going to do. And that's what made him such a good wrestler. He did really crazy things. Like, take an example. He brought a beer truck into the WWE.
I remember that. I was actually in Brian's house when we were watching Monday Night Raw when Stone Cold did that. And believe it or not, a lot of people are debating whether or not Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold is the better wrestler, because they say Stone Cold became the better wrestler in the Attitude Era and Hulk Hogan was the better wrestler in the 80s, going into the 90s with the NWO. But I think Stone Cold kind of pretty much transcended the business a lot more because of the different crowd. You know, nobody wanted to see the breaking of the shirt anymore and Venus, and you know, everybody wanted to see that Attitude Era come out. You know what I mean? And I think that's what made it better with these wrestlers, that they were able to bring out their character. And you know, I wouldn't say gimmick, but to be themselves. Like, I'm gonna be Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm gonna be Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I'm gonna be this top heel that is just going to take over. And when you got stuff like that, you know, it's kind of hard for people to come back from that, because not too many superstars can perform in that type of caliber. You know what I mean? So
right. And you know, we all know Steve Austin to come back from a background of the Ringmaster. You know, we all know that used to be his stage name, along with $1 Million Man. And he was in ECW. He had time in WCW. And just like most wrestlers, he had time in IGWP, you know, the Japan Wrestling. All right. But when he became Stone Cold, the evil genius of Vince McMahon's mind, that set the bar for the Attitude Era. When he said, 316 just, you know, stands for Austin just whip your, sorry, Jaden, ass, you know. You saw this guy's face. He was like, what? Oh, he just cussed. That just opened so many avenues and so many ways.
Opened up the door for people to come on, like Shawn Michaels. When Shawn Michaels, another one, to me, by far, one of the greatest performers I've ever seen in the wrestling ring. That's why they call him the showstopper. That's when he came out with the DX. They came out with DX. They came out with him and Triple H, which we're glad to say they're going into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to them. Triple H, the game. The man transcended from Hunter Hearst Helmsley to just regular Triple H, and then the game, Cerebral Assassin, which we saw growing up, that he transcended into this iconic wrestler that pretty much went through the roster in all shape or form and destroyed half the people he wrestled.
Now we can get into another great wrestler that is by far a survivor, Mankind. Mankind was the first ever person to get thrown off of a cell, and that's what makes him the great wrestler. He's a survivor because his body went through so much as him being a wrestler.
Well, you're absolutely right, Jaden. And it wasn't just from the Hell in a Cell. Ryan would know this. This man competed as Cactus Jack in WCW, had many battles with Sting, Big Van Vader,
Yeah.
Abdullah the Butcher, which are all also all-time greats that actually
Right.
nobody thought he was going to become that famous, and he just took it.
hmm And fun fact, Abdullah the Butcher is the father of
Oh,
Carlito Colon, isn't it?
no, he actually isn't. No, I'm sorry.
No, no, Abdullah. Oh, no, that's the wrong guy. No, disregard that.
No, Abdullah the Butcher was one of the greatest brawlers out there. That man, between him and Bruiser Brody, these two like destroyed each other in the ring. Like it was an all-out battle.
Right.
And Mick Foley and Abdullah the Butcher too. They would hit each other with kendo sticks and freaking barbed wire and chairs and shovels. Remember in WCW one time at Clash of the Champions, he hit it with a shovel. I'm like, geez, like
If you Google, for those who don't know Abdullah the Butcher, if you look up his page or you look up pictures, this guy has multiple scars on his forehead from all these battles. This is insane. This guy was a nutcase.
And it's like when you go through battles like that, it's inevitable. You know what I mean? For you to become the greatest wrestler of all time. But that was in the 80s era. But when we talk about the 90s era, you talk about guys like the Ultimate Warrior or Randy Savage. Those two, forget it. The Ultimate Warrior, when you heard that music,
epic match.
Like everybody got excited when that music, because it was that pump music. When Macho Man came in, when he dropped that elbow, like he just took over. His character alone, his talent, is what made him Macho Man. Like I'm the Lord and he will always say his words. I'm the Lord and Master of the ring. And he proved it. He was iconic. And unfortunately, neither one of them are with us today, but we still talk about them to this day. We still watch the WWE Network. We still watch videos of them when they fought. And Brian, I know we used to watch old Royal Rumbles when these guys used to fight. WrestleMania 7, WrestleMania 8,
all the time.
WrestleMania 5 when the Mega Powers exploded. That's what made Hulk Hogan and Macho Man these great iconic wrestlers today. What do you think, David?
Right.
I have a different wrestler in mind. I have a wrestler that's from the new school age. Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is super incredibly talented. The guy started off as another Shield member. He betrayed the Shield and joined a part of the Authority.
Now, but where did he come from, though?
Now, he came from NXT. NXT was when the Shield was made, and they came inside WWE. Now, him betraying the Shield is what boosted up his talent, which made him a WWE champion.
Okay, so your opinion is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So you think he had ever filled the caliber of Shawn Michaels?
That is a nail biter because both of those wrestlers are very competitive. They're both sort of underdogs, but I feel like Seth Rollins is more of an underdog than Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is the Heartbreak Kid. Seth Rollins is the King Slayer. He slayed the King.
Okay.
So
See, but this is where I would have to throw my opinion in, because you have Shawn Michaels and you have Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins being the Kingslayer, he has a lot of titles under his name. He's guys in tremendous shape. He even has his own wrestling company, Black and Brave Wrestling, and if you follow him on Instagram, you see all the things that he's involved with. Then you got Shawn Michaels, who was very charismatic. All right, he was excellent in the ring. So I think if you put a modern day Seth Rollins with a past HBK, that'll be a hell of a match. And as Jaden said, it will be a nail biter. Who would win? I love
that's
to see
what I said. When you talk about the old era and the new era, some people wouldn't compare the old era to the new era because you got guys like Bret Hart, you got guys like Chris Jericho, Harley Race, old school guys. Bret Hart, I think to this day, people still talk about Bret Hart. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
To this day.
Between him and Shawn Michaels, those two had it out many times, and they had great matches, but it's hard to pick a great wrestler because there are so many out there. And when you talk about great wrestlers,
Yeah.
me and Jaden have been seeing a lot of the indie promotions lately. Like wrestlers
Mhm.
like Verdell Walker, Danny Maff, Frankie
Right.
Flo, Zombie King, Alpha Jr.,
Mhm.
Jack Swagger, who was also in that show. These guys transcend from the
Yeah.
business. Also, Wes Briscoe, the son of Gerald Briscoe, which is an awesome performer. So
Yeah.
when you talk about certain eras, it's kind of hard to determine which one is a great wrestler. But we're in this new era.
Mhm.
I'm old school, you know how we do. But if you had to pick a
Yeah.
person, Jaden, of all time, who would be your greatest wrestler of all time in your era that you know?
My greatest wrestler of all time, the absolute great wrestler of all time, is John Cena.
Why did I know he was gonna pick
John
that? John
Cena
Cena. You
was.
can't see me.
You can't see me.
Look at
John
that.
Cena was
Look at that.
16-time champion before.
Okay.
He was looking to break Ric Flair's record of 17 title wins.
Okay, so all right, I understand that. Do you think if Hulk Hogan was in his prime and John Cena was in his prime, who would be the better wrestler?
I can't decide that.
Of course you can.
I can't
You just
decide
said John
that.
Cena is your all-time favorite. So
It's gonna be Hogan. Trust me, it's gonna be
and
Hogan.
it's like the same thing. If you try to put John Cena in his prime against The Undertaker in his prime, would you think Cena will still be the greatest wrestler of all time, bar none, next to The Undertaker?
I really don't.
Exactly. That's
It'll be
why
a nail-biter.
that's why you got wrestlers that some people think that John Cena is the greatest of all time in this era, but we can't determine that because there's also others that are like AJ Styles. AJ Styles is a phenomenal athlete. You got Kurt Angle from the past, still can do it in the ring.
Yeah.
Because the man is phenomenal. You got the Legend Killer, Randy.
He still got it.
Who was it?
I said he still got it.
Exactly. He still got it. You also got wrestlers like Shinsuke Nakamura that came from Japan. That the man is talented. He's a very talented wrestler. And it's hard to determine.
That man is such a legend in Japan. He is such a legend in Japan. And, I kind of disagree with how WWE is using him. Because, he was a U.S. title champion, but he's kind of jobbing as a recently.
He's already been WWE champion. And when you talk about Shinsuke Nakamura, he's from the Oriental Wrestling Organization of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You got an all-time great to me that I love to see in the ring of New Japan, the Great Muta. The Great Muta was phenomenal, especially when he dropped that elbow, that snap elbow on an opponent. Oh my God! I got goosebumps.
Nobody drops an elbow like the Muta.
And Jaden doesn't know about Great Muta because he's still young. But
I do have a wrestler in mind.
Right.
I have a wrestler that's very short, Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is like by far one of the best wrestlers. Now,
why do you think he's one of the best wrestlers?
I think he's one of the best wrestlers because he held a record for joining the Royal Rumble for at least, if not the longest time, inside a Royal Rumble.
Okay, not to correct you, he did have it until Daniel Bryan broke that at the Greatest Royal Rumble. But what else makes him a great wrestler?
Right.
Rey Mysterio has won World Heavyweight titles. His 619 move is phenomenal. He gets his opponent down, so I just really think he's really phenomenal. Like he takes the pain. Like he's just a really good wrestler, and I think he can like transcend more if he gets on with his career.
Well, he is back. He's currently is on the main roster. And a lot of people would like to see him battle Daniel Bryan or a Shinsuke Nakamura to determine who is a better wrestler. Who's a greater wrestler. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the list goes on and on with many people. You got Big Van Vader, who's another one was very noble in Japan and in WCW. He kind of carried WCW until Sting took that torch, which Sting is another one, greatest wrestler, which which the
Sting is an
battle we had
icon.
between him and Ric Flair. Ric Flair, oh man, there's no comparison when it comes to talent with Ric Flair. Ric Flair pretty much was the flagship of WCW, you know, and between him
Yeah.
and Sting, they carried WCW. Hulk Hogan, okay, I'm a big fan of Hulk Hogan, but it's like, what can you do? You know what I mean? It's gonna be hard to compare that. A lot of people say Hulk Hogan is the better wrestler than Ric Flair. Some people say Ric Flair is a greater wrestler than Hulk Hogan, but no one can ever debate that.
Now we can get more into new school. Now we can get into Batista. Batista is the animal, the big man. Batista is a great, phenomenal wrestler.
No, of course he just returned on Monday when he attacked Ric Flair, which pretty much they thinking that's a sign of Triple H and Batista at WrestleMania. You know, exactly, and that's going to create a battle between those two. But when you also talk about battles, the battle I remember when I used to watch ECW, Sabu versus Chris Benoit. These two used to destroy each other. And especially when Chris Benoit broke Sabu's neck. You know what I mean? And that
oh man, yeah. That with the simple hip toss. And
that's what brought Sabu back more fierce, and these two just destroyed each other in a hardcore match. And me and JD used to watch these hardcore matches of ECW before with the Sandman and Chris Benoit's Taz and Shane Douglas, who we saw this weekend, which the man still looked good to fight. And he's actually fighting Shane Douglas is fighting the Sandman in June in the next USA Pro Wrestling match. So we're looking forward to seeing that. So,
okay.
But you also got iconic, to me, in the era of the 90s, not just Stone Cold, The Rock. The Rock, once Stone Cold got injured, The Rock pretty much took over the WWE. Like, it was, without a shadow of a doubt, the biggest transition of The Rock's career. You know, and we saw The Rock. You know, we saw how he made make the WWE better. You know, but
I mean, this is a man who has excellent mic skills. You know, and I mean, he can do anything with a microphone in his hand. You know, and he's always got eyes on him, and he knows the right things to say, how to say it, and how to deliver it when saying it. You know, so he was really gifted in what he did, and he gave a hell of a show too.
The Rock is a very good wrestler. Like, we can take a match that he had, for example, that made him a great superstar. He returned in 2013 to face CM Punk for the WWE title, and he beat CM Punk. Now, back then, The Rock was basically, like you said, when Stone Cold got injured, The Rock was like the new big thing.
The new big thing, exactly.
The Rock was the popular person.
Exactly, and that's what transitioned the business. But when you come to talking about the business, there's different type of businesses and different type of wrestlers that we would consider the greatest. Like hardcore wrestlers. You had, back then, Raven and Tommy Dreamer. These two had the biggest rivalry in ECW, and that's what made them so great. Because they knew each other. They knew each other so well that each battle, it was like a nail biter, because you didn't know who was. You always thought that Tommy Dreamer was going to win, but Raven would always beat him.
Yeah.
And that's what made these guys so great in the ring and out the ring. And then you had another match at WrestleMania 11, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor. Not too many people would thought that Lawrence Taylor could have competed in that type of caliber match. And supposedly he actually gave him a shot.
Right.
You know, and Bam Bam Bigelow to me is a legend in his own time in the 80s, because he made that era with Hulk Hogan and the rock and roll wrestling. You know, so Jaden, you don't know too much about that, but we used to watch rock and wrestling back then when Bam Bam Bigelow and all these oldies used to be there. But we'll show you as time goes on. But
I have a wrestler.
Okay.
Edge.
Oh yeah,
Edge
is our superstar.
Oh my goodness, Edge has been through a lot.
He used to say I look like him.
The Edge has been through a lot. Now, there's a lot of matches that made Edge a really great
You're
superstar.
absolutely right. But how do you think he became that superstar?
I think he became a superstar because he made the name the Rated R Superstar when he beat John Cena for the WWE title when he cashed in his Money in the Bank at Elimination Chamber.
Exactly, and it was other opportunities too. He did it to the
Yeah.
Undertaker too. He cashed in on the Undertaker. He
Yeah.
cashed in. Actually, no, not even cashed in. He attacked Kofi Kingston at Elimination Chamber and won the title. So that's why they call
Yeah,
him
he
the
did, yeah.
ultimate
Yeah.
opportunist. And he pretty much that's what made him in the Hall of Fame.
And as well, what made him an even better superstar is when he speared Mick Foley through the fire table.
Oh, of course, at
That was
WrestleMania 22.
insane.
Of course, that's man. That WrestleMania
Yeah.
was awesome when it came to that match. Like the hardcore.
Yeah. I enjoyed watching
Exactly.
that WrestleMania.
And a long time ago, Michael Hayes told Mick Foley, "You just got your WrestleMania moment," and that's what made Mick Foley one of
Yeah.
the greatest wrestlers of all time. You know, but when you talk about great wrestlers, this one person comes into mind: Eddie Guerrero. God bless his soul. God rest his soul.
I was just gonna bring his name up. That
He
man is a
general.
legend to this
He
day.
by far
Yeah.
took over each time he was in the ring. His athleticism, his in-ring ability, it was like, holy cow. I want to see more of this guy.
Yeah.
You know, like to go from the battles, the demons that he went through to be triumphant and win the WWE title and transcend in the business.
Yeah.
You know, it was good to see him wrestle, and it made others believe I can do it. You know, and that's what pretty much
Right.
the people got the message from. You know what I mean?
You know, we also have a lot of other wrestlers that, we probably don't have a lot of time to talk about, but we have like Ric Flair, okay?
Oh, of
Roddy
course.
Piper, all right? I mean, even the guys that didn't even were like fan favorites. You have DDP in WCW. That man,
Of course.
that diamond cutter, come on.
If
It's
you
very
had a
similar to the
choice- if you had
RKO
a choice
nowadays.
to compare the Diamond Cutter to the RKO, which one would you take?
Oh, diamond cutter all the way, bro. Diamond
That's
cutter
all.
all
Gina,
the way.
what's the diamond cutter?
The Diamond Cutter is pretty much something similar to the RKO, but much better. You get knocked out. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You trying to compare the RKO to the Diamond Cutter?
The RKO is dangerous.
Okay, well, you trying to say the Diamond Cutter is not dangerous?
See, I've never seen the diamond cutter, so as of right now, yes, I do think the
Okay,
RKO is
all right,
dangerous.
that's fine. We'll show you the Diamond Cutter.
Lou, I think in the next match, I
Yeah,
think
you
you
know
need
what I
to
mean?
show him what a diamond cutter is.
Show him the Diamond Cutter, pretty much. You know what I mean? And you also have favorites, fan favorites that unfortunately not with us either. You got Davey Boy Smith. You got Owen Hart,
yeah,
which was another technical wrestler.
Owen
which
Hart got arrested.
I feel he should be in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? And like you mentioned, Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper, man, the battles between him and Hulk Hogan, this man was the top heel at the time in the 80s era. Everybody knew him. They threw apples at
Nobody
him,
liked him.
beer at him, and it was hilarious, but it was fun to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he still to
definitely.
this day is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. You know, because I'm an old school guy. I love old school. My son, he likes new school, Randy Reigns, and you know,
But they're good wrestlers.
Seth Rollins.
They have
You know,
talent.
I give him Seth Rollins. You know what I mean? But I think you could never compare Seth Rollins to Bret Hart.
What?
You kidding me?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
No.
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 Seriously, Bret Hart.
No.
Yes, I
Bret
can't
Hart
do
to
that.
this day is still the best technical wrestler of all time. Of all time. The only person I think I can ever compare Bret Hart to would be Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, by far, is an excellent athlete. That the man can do wonders.
Yeah.
And for him to return back after a 3-year absence, Goldust. Goldust was pretty good in his time as Dustin Reynolds. Dustin
Reynolds, yes.
So he was a pretty good athlete,
Yeah.
and he actually took on Stone Cold and Ricky Steamboat and many others in WCW. So I don't knock him for that. He is excellent talent.
Yeah.
You know, but you have, wrestlers like Jake Roberts and Jason Hello, Jason.
Oh,
I'm glad you're watching my show, sir. We got a viewer named Jason. I'm sorry, I can't even pronounce your last name. I'm sorry, Jason. Thank you for watching our show, sir. We got Jake Roberts, the inventor of the DDT.
right. Oh, that DDT. Come on,
I thought
man.
Jake was one of the wrestlers.
Who can do a
Now,
DDT?
if I'm not mistaken, this wrestler was like one of the top high flyers of WCW or WWF. Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Oh man,
Superfly. Now, Dad, I have a question for you. Was Superfly Jimmy Snuka one of the only wrestlers to jump off of the Hell in a Cell into the ring?
Well, it wasn't a Hell in a Cell.
I mean,
Not to
not
correct you,
sorry.
it was actually the
Steel
steel cage
There you
at
go.
Steel
Madison
cage.
Square
Steel
Garden.
cage.
That move transcended
Yeah.
the pretty much the high flying game. You know what I mean? That made all these high
Right.
flyers go for
Mhm.
high risk. When he did that, the crowd went crazy. When he splashed Don Morocco in the
Yeah.
ring, which Don Morocco was another all-time legend that in the 80s era battled the likes of Jimmy Snuka.
Don Morocco,
Yeah,
Pedro
all these
Morales.
people, you know, God rest their souls that are not here with us. They all paved
Yeah.
the way for this talent now of WWE and TNA and the indie promotions. You know what I mean? That everybody looked up to these guys and saw, dang, I want to be like that guy. You know, there was many people that saw
Yeah.
superstar Billy Graham that just went like this, and they said, I want to be just like that guy right there.
Yeah.
Because he's flamboyant, he has muscle, and I want to be just like him and just destroy everybody. You know, some people still talk about Bruno Sammartino, you know, who was the living legend, Bruno Sammartino, who was the longest champion in history at the time. He held it for 7 years.
In history, yeah.
You know, there's the likes of Bob Backlund and
I got another one for you. Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant, which was you know, when it comes to stuff like that, you can't compare Andre the Giant. To me, I'm a Hulk Hogan fan, but Andre the Giant was the greatest wrestler of all time.
I mean, let's not forget, those two had a match that was really, really, like, it was a nail biter. It was really crazy.
At WrestleMania 3.
Which Hulk Hogan actually picked up Andre the Giant and body slammed him. So that's what made that match.
Yes, he did.
And that's what made those two superstars a really great wrestler.
Of course. And Andre the Giant was actually the first one ever to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, but
right. Well, very well deserved, I might say, because he was in a caliber of his own. No, there can never ever be another Andre the
Just
Giant.
like there can never be another Ric Flair. Woo!
Woo!
Madison Square Garden. So, but Brian,
oh man,
we're gonna finish up with our show today. We also want to mention out there for my friend that's watching on the show, the Deadly Saints Squad. You know, that we would love to have an interview with them down the line sometime. So let's see how that goes. Brian, it's been a pleasure having you on our show, sir. I guarantee you it's not going to be the last.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. No, yeah, definitely. I look forward to more shows. And Jaden, real quick, 2 words. Your father is going to know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Figure
I definitely
4.
know about it. So thank you for being on the show, sir. Take care. We'll see you around.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, fans. That pretty much does it for our show today. We thank you, everyone, for watching. Tune in next week. Our next topic is gonna be the greatest heels of all time. That's a show you're not gonna want to miss. We're gonna have another heated discussion.
Watching.